back to Belly Up Sound Off. It's been about a week, 10 days since our last, mishap. That's what I call these now, since it seems like they always go awry. But tonight we've got the usual suspects for the most part. We got Zach Mack here, Puck Pass, and then we got Jared here from the old corner booth. Both these guys are big contributors of what we do. So looking forward to a lot of things. We're talking the NCAA right to pay based off of, I guess, last names essentially is what they're doing.
It's likeness basically.
Yeah, something like that. And then some Kyrie news and also the trade deadline, NFL trade deadline, which to me was a total bust. So we'll get into all that, and then obviously we'll have our round table towards the end. It's just us three here, so we'll keep it as entertaining as possible. I know Zach's going full metal jacket there with the you got the old margarita mixer over there. So I know you're ready. You're preparing for game day this weekend, right?
Absolutely, bro. I've got arts and crafts. I think it's Thursday night, and we're gonna create the sign.
Oh man!
You better have I better see a big ass pig on game day, or I'm gonna be pissed.
You'll see a couple of them.
He's probably gonna have something with legs hanging out of it, where he actually has to move it with strings and stuff. So, but anyways, so we'll get right into our topics. I think let's start with the trade deadline that just happened. Obviously, ended today at 4:00. Were you guys surprised by the lack of movement? There was a lot of names floating around. Right towards the end, there was a Le'Veon Bell kind of floating around, but it was more so people were kind of gaining interest, calling on him. Were you guys surprised this year that kind of a dud? So, your Eagles, it sounded like they were in play for Slay, but
it was Slay, it was Evans, it was Chris Harris at one point, it was Von Miller 2 weeks ago. The problem is with the trade deadline, Mike, and it comes down to the basic fact is that the sellers all wanted way too much money for way too much compensation for what they're offering.
There's a lot this year.
And the problem is that it's the Jalen Ramsey trade. It ruined the trade market this year because basically the Rams basically got on their knees and said, here, take all that we have, and it ruined the trade market because now the Lions, what they wanted for Slay was actually reasonable. First and a later round pick, I would give that for Slay. For 3 years of production, for a lockdown corner, I'll take that. The problem is that Philly doesn't want to give up a first and a mid-round. There was something with I understand why, though. It was a first, a fourth, and a fifth they wanted or some BS. But anyway.
Well, it's funny you bring up Ramsey.
They wanted first rounders for Harris. They wanted first rounders for – the Jets wanted a second rounder for Robbie Anderson. That's when I knew there was nothing happening today. The only time the Jets actually wanted legitimate compensation was when they asked the Cowboys and the Ravens for both of them to give up at least one first round and a second rounder for Jamal Adams, which I think is completely fair, being that he's probably the second or first best strong safety in the league. So, yeah. And then the Buccaneers were trying to get – the Buccaneers and Eagles were trying to get Mike Evans up north, but the problem was that the Bucs wanted a first, a second, and possibly Aguilar, and the Philly was like, no. You take a first and Aguilar or whatever. So it turned into – and the Browns, my favorite part is – they forgot to ask for the tackle they needed from the Eagles. They basically just gave us a pass rusher for peanuts. And they're like, oh, wait, we need a tackle too. And apparently even the Eagles were like, what about OBJ and a first rounder in the tackle for OBJ? So I was like, it was the asking market. It was too high. Everyone was assuming they could get more than they could. And then by the time everyone realized they weren't going to get what they wanted, nothing, the dominoes fell. Only one trade went through today. That's one thing that should tell you how hard this was to make a trade, because every seller was thinking they could get more than they actually could. So I blame the Jaguars and I blame the Rams.
Yeah. And like I said, you're talking about Jalen, which I was talking about earlier. But come full circle. Look what the Rams ended up doing, moving to leave, kind of lightening that payroll so they can eventually make a pitch towards Ramsey long term. So
even if he has Deion Sanders, he ain't staying. So.
Well, Deion knows it all. So Zach, what's your take on the trade deadline? I think you and I were talking earlier. Really, it was just the most anticipation for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and a lot of people were building it up too, and it ended up being nothing. I think a lot of it has to do with there wasn't outside of the top, which is Niners, Patriots, who live and die by their defense, and defense wins championships. So I don't think they're trying to make any changes. They're set. The bottom is the Dolphins, who we saw involved in a trade, and then the Redskins, who didn't get involved at all. So I don't think there was any really like true buyers and sellers. I was more surprised that like the Vikings or somebody in the middle of the NFC, or even like the Bills, who are behind the Patriots, didn't try to make a move to solidify a wild card spot. That's what I was most surprised by. But like Jared said, it was kind of set up to make no moves. It seemed like everyone was trying to do it last minute, and the sellers were asking for too much, and it just never works out well that way.
Also, one other thing that people got to realize, like it seemed like Philadelphia, our injury report went from 13 injuries to 4 this week.
Yeah, you're getting healthy now.
Yeah, I think it's LeBlanc and Maddox and possibly Jackson and Jurgen. The only guys that are even on there right now. I think maybe Brada, but he's questionable. Teams are getting healthier. Like, we have a bye. Like, the thing is, like, I said this on my show before. I said it to Savannah and Kevin. I'm like, listen, I would be more mad if Jackson was out for the season and, we couldn't go get Geno Atkins because, Jurgen's out. And I understand that. I'd be more pissed off if, let's say, Darby was out, Mills was out, whatever. But the thing is, a lot of teams are on the Eagles. The Eagles are probably in the best position because they play the Bears. And if Mitch Trubisky's playing, there's a very good chance we're going to win.
Which you saw his name floating around.
Yeah.
Not so much being traded, but someone replacing them.
Yeah. Oh, we started a new hashtag on the corner booth. Bears for Tebow, or Tebow to the Bears. We're starting this hashtag. We're going to send it to David as much as possible. But basically, I said, I'm like, you know what? They're going to the bye. I'm not complaining about it. The Packers, because Savannah was going on about that. I'm like, you guys get Devontae Adams back in a week, and the only hole really on your offense. Their defense is something else they got to fix. But I agree with Zach back, though. There are a lot of teams that have more gaping holes in Philadelphia and Green Bay, and they should have addressed it. Like, the Bills needed another receiver. They should have made also the Bengals. A.J. Green's not re-signing there. So I don't understand.
That was surprising to me.
Why didn't they see him?
Especially benching Dalton.
Wholesale. I'm surprised they're not trying to deal Mixon. They're not trying to deal A.J. Green. They're not trying to go full wholesale, go full Miami, get everything they can. I think the GM still thinks there's something to salvage here. But to me, if I'm the Bengals GM this morning, I'm like, all right, let's move A.J. Green to Philly or Buffalo. Let's get Joe Mixon to Detroit. Let's get these guys out of here. Let's get picks. Let's get set up. They have a good identity. The Bengals have always drafted well in the past, at least everything but quarterback. So, let's start over. So it was like everyone was like waiting to the last. Everyone was like trying to see who would crumble first. It was like playing chicken. Nobody budged.
Do you think – I got a question for y'all. Do you think that and I don't know the history of the NFL trade deadline, but to me, as just like a casual fan, it seems too early. Would you be –
earlier.
It used to be earlier?
It was week 6 up until what, Mike, like 4 or 5 years ago?
I would say
it was week 6 up until 4 or 5 years ago. They moved to the week 7 while I was in middle school, and then – or they might have gone straight to week 8. I can't remember. But now – I think, Zach, I
feel like double digits is where you
this is the halfway point of the season, is week 8.
Yeah, I get that.
So I get why they're why they haven't moved back. I could see, though, closing the deadline at 9 p.m. Eastern and Western time to give teams more. Because I guarantee if we went until 9 p.m. today, I guarantee Mike Evans would have been in Philadelphia. You would have had Le'Veon Bell in KC. You would have had Trent Williams in Cleveland. There were a couple moves that were just waiting to get done. And you might have had Darius Slay in Philadelphia as well, or Darius Slay in Philly, Mike, because the Lions were willing to play ball. That was the biggest thing.
Well, it seems like Philly the past 2-3 years, they're the deadline team. They always make a splash right at
that's what really
with Golden Tate last year. So that's why I figured about right before 4:00 we're going to hear everything go down.
Well, that's because Howie Roseman will never give him a first or a second rounder unless it's guaranteed income, guaranteed return right off the bat. So Ajayi was a risk because of his knees, 4th rounder. Last year, Golden Tate was what, a 4th rounder to you guys, Mike?
Yeah, it was, again, like you said,
a 4th and something else. Yeah, he ended up producing his 4th game with us, like week 10. But it ends up being the fact that Roseman, everyone's like, oh, he's the GM, he's the deadline master, he's one of the best GMs in football. But the thing is, he's not an idiot. I'm one of the few people who defend Roseman today because or any GM who didn't want to pull the trigger on these high price tags. Because, all right, let's say I go, like, make a deal and I go out and get A.J. Green. I say, all right, first and a third for A.J. Green. And he's sitting on the bench with me until week 10 and just doesn't have the same pop-off, and he's 31 years old. No. The only receivers I wanted to trade for were Keenan. I didn't want Keenan Allen because I don't trust his injury ability. I only wanted Mike Evans or Roddy Anderson. And both guys' price tags were too high. If I'm going corners, I wanted either Slay, and that's it. Or maybe Peterson, because Peterson has fresh legs. He sat the first, 6 games? So it turns into that's the problem. So many of these guys at the deadline were too old for the asking price. Like, I think the Broncos wanted a first and a third at least for Von Miller. And I'm just like, Chris Harris. Well, I get the first and the third, but like even Von Miller, he's 30 years old. Chris Harris is 31 and he's just lost all of what he made him such a lockdown corner in the past. He's still good, but he's not worth a first round pick. So that's why I feel like Houston both backed off on him.
So if it's a matter of hours then as opposed to like days or weeks, is it just come down to people starting these negotiations earlier, or like what do we need to see in order to see more action at the deadline?
The problem is it comes down to the same thing. This year was bound to fail. One, ESPN, I got beef with them right now because Ryan Clark was gassing up this Jamal Adams thing, and he actually had some. But here's the thing. Also, Jamal Adams is pissed at Joe Douglas this morning right now because you guys see the report. Apparently, he met with Gase and Douglas said, please do not trade me. I want to be with this team. I want to rebuild this team. And basically, Douglas was trying to shot him behind his back. And, like, now he's pissed at Douglas because Douglas, like, basically was getting his name out there to Dallas and Baltimore. And they were both like, But imagine if Baltimore got Jamal Adams. That secondary is disgusting. Yeah. Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith. Oh, yeah, and their safeties are Earl Thomas and Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
You're not scoring on that defense.
So speaking of that, the Jets, the past how many years, it hasn't mattered. The whole, who was it? Sheldon Richardson going from one locker room to the next, essentially. Yeah. They make a move. They move him. Talking about Jamal Adams, slightly, like I said, Bell. But, this is new. Like, we see the headlines. We see the videos. Is Adam Gase a head coach? Is he the, I guess, can he right the ship in New York?
As an offensive coordinator, yeah. He's a genius.
Well, did you see what the owner of the Jets said to that fan? Did you see that clip?
I didn't see the clip. Well, also, Woody Johnson's a nut, but.
Some fan asked the Jets owner on the sideline, or he was like, we drove all the way from Jacksonville to see this game or something, blah, blah, blah. And anyways, the Jets owner responded, I hope this team shows up this week. So to me, that's like, I don't even know if he's convinced Adam Gase is the guy.
I mean, no, Adam Gase, I feel like he was like their number 2 or 3 choice. Like they couldn't get like Brian Flores or any of these guys. Like, you want to know something crazy is the Dolphins are going to be a good team in like 2 or 3 years because that team rallies around Flores. You see them put up a fight in the first half
I saw Flores lose his shit on the sideline yesterday.
Well,
and everything that was coming out of his mouth, man.
Well, here's the thing. He's a real head coach. Belichick, he's one of the few, I think, Belichick guys. And your boy Patricia, I think, is one too. Like, there's certain guys who actually have a head coach quality. Flores and Patricia have them. Even I think Patricia might be Mike's doppelganger sometimes. But
dude, that dude is from the neck up. You're like, okay. And then you look at him. He looks like he rolls into the stadium. He's just not. He's not a football build.
I know. All right, but like the thing is, like, what bugs me about Gase is that it's just my buddy made a joke to me. He goes, "Who's the only head coach to make a game plan that can actually stop Le'Veon Bell?" And I'm like, "Who?" And he goes, "Adam Gase." And I'm like, "Oh Jesus Christ, that's awful." But like, he's right though. They've made Le'Veon Bell run for what 2.8 yards a carry, I think was what I saw today. And Sam Darnold, who's arguably the second or third best quarterback in that draft class, is seeing go. I mean, seeing goes is a joke, but you know what I meant. And it's just the whole middle of that defense: Quentin Williams, C.J. Mosley, Jamal Adams. You build your defense from the inside out, and you build your offense from the line back, and then for the outside. The thing is, like, the Jets have so many great pieces.
They do, yeah.
I mean, yes, the Darnold thing hit with the mono killed their season. It shot a hole in their season. But the thing is, at the end of the day, they walk in here yesterday and it is Gardner and just like that Jacksonville team actually feels like a team. And like they could actually like the AFC South, you could have three teams come out of that division if Buffalo started sliding.
Before we continue to talk, as long as we are, let's quickly transition. Something we didn't plan on discussing, but I know you guys will probably have a little bit of. What about the Browns? Freddie Kitchens, OBJ, everything that's going on right now. Like we talked about all preseason, season long. This team is going to be fun to watch one way or another. Are we getting to that point where they're about to implode? And to the point where OBJ, all these personalities are going to come out.
Well, lucky for them, Denver isn't starting Joe Flacco next week. Unless Drew Lock comes out and starts slinging bombs, they're going to get a W. Or if Philip Lindsay just dominates like he did against half the team he's played against this year. But the issue is with the Browns, they're not disciplined.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield 17 penalties a game.
They're on record. They're on like on pace to smash every penalty record ever. It's insane. 2, like they have too much scuffling. When your head coach and your star wide receiver are going at it through the media, it's not a good sign. Also, they've reduced Baker Mayfield to a meme at this point. The dude basically Bobby Boucher'd an interception. It was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And they're calling it his butt fumble moment. I'm like, don't do him like that. He ain't Sanchez. But at the end of the day, it's awful. I'm trying to. Yes, they're going to implode. Lucky for them, their backside of the schedule is almost as worse. I think the only other team I can think of that's got a lower winning percentage schedule is like Philadelphia's got a really bad one besides New England. If you took New England out, Philly's back into their schedule was atrocious record-wise. And then there's a couple other teams like that. But that's the only saving grace for Cleveland is that they have no teams they play. Besides Baltimore.
If you're Freddie Kitchens,
I'm fired.
In general, you're the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Seven targets to your star wide receiver, and you're okay with that?
Well, here's the problem. I would have made a deal. I would have called John Dorsey, and I'll be like, dude, get me a tackle. I don't give a shit what it costs. I don't care if you have to trade Beckham. I would have been like, oh, Philly wants Beckham, but we get a first-round pick and Haloti Vitae. Oh, do it. I don't even care. Do it. And just send Beckham out. Because you have a bunch of young receivers who would work. The offense looked better without Beckham last year. And at the end, and you still have 2 superstar running backs, Chubb and Hunt. At the end, it's the whole Beckham experiment has failed because they got rid of Zeitler, who was like an anchor on that defense, on that offensive line, I mean. And at the end of the day, what we've learned from the Patriots, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Ravens back in 2012, all these teams had the Seahawks with Wilson. All of them had great offensive lines, at least B+ to better. Philadelphia did win the Super Bowl. I think their offensive line rated like 91 overall for PFF. It was the highest rating. Dallas every year is in the high 80s and 90s. They're always semi in contention. You always have the Rams last year who ranked in the top 5. Patriots, except for the last couple of weeks this year, have always had a solid offensive line. It's what keeps your quarterback upright so he can make the decisions. So if Baker Mayfield is the skilled player they're selling us on, I do believe he is, keeping him upright when he's my height. And Mike, I ran the same 40 time he did, like last year. That's not good. He's not an athletic quarterback. He needs a blocking scheme.
Baker's not?
Yeah, he's not athletic. He runs a 4.84. I think my fastest time I ever ran was a 4.87.
Hey man, I mean, if it comes down to it, you or Baker, my money's on Baker.
Oh no! I'm not. No, trust me. I'm trying to put in perspective here. He has good game speed because I saw him chase down that Nick Chubb touchdown where he was running full speed like a psycho down the sideline. Celebrating, yeah. He was beating like half the defenders. So maybe he is faster than his time. I'm not sure. But here's the thing about Baker. He's getting caught from behind by defensive ends all the time. He can't scramble. And the thing is, they needed to help him today at the deadline, and they didn't. So the problem is, if the Browns play any team with a decent edge rush, It's done.
So let me fill you in on something real quick with all you guys that are watching. Every time Jared gets on here, he says, "Hey, how long is this going to be? I got some stuff going on. I got to get up early." And then he's like, and I said, "Man, I want to shoot for half an hour." We're 20 minutes in. The dude has not shut up yet. Zach hasn't got 2 words out. So I blame this on you, Jared. When you feel like shit the next day and you're working, just throwing that out there. But anyways, so Zach, you've been a big part of a lot of these conversations when we were hyping up the Browns, talking the Browns. Obviously, we had Baker, the unofficial mascot of Belly Up Sports. How do you feel about the Browns right now? I know we've got a soft spot for the Lions, but I openly adapted the Browns this year. I was excited to watch them. I know some people picked the Lions to go 3-13 this year, which was a laugh. But the Browns at this point, what's your take on them?
I think a lot of – you asked about whether they're going to implode or not. I think a lot of it has to do with whether or not they were preached preseason, training camp, whatever it was, off-season, that this was going to be win now or a process. And if they were preached that it was win now, I could understand their frustration. And being a Lions fan, obviously you never think it's win now. But we saw – I don't know if you saw – Le'Veon Bell put out about a minute-long video today on Twitter just asking the Jets fans for patience, because he said, I understand that this is a process. This isn't going to happen overnight. If it happened overnight, every team would be doing it every single season. And so if you have that understanding that it's going to be a process and turning a program around, then it becomes a lot easier to accept growth and see the growth throughout the season. And I don't think that the Browns are willing to look at it like that because of all the hype, of all the talk that Baker was doing in the offseason, of hyping his team up. I was just going to say,
I think the media had a lot to do. Whether they were in the organization or not, the media had that stigma one way or another.
Right. So if you're on the Browns team right now and you're struggling, you're doing worse than you thought, I could understand it being a little frustrating because you thought you were going to be so good, but you kind of did it to yourself in that you hyped yourself up all offseason. And for really nothing to back it up. I mean, you got a bunch of talented players, but they never played together before, and that is a process. It doesn't happen overnight.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. So moving on, I know this is going to be Zach's moment. I know he's been waiting for this. I guess we're switching to NBA here. Kyrie's in the news. There's been a lot of talk. Zach, you want to touch on this? Kind of what's going on?
Yeah, so there was an unspoken something, I don't know how they phrased it, but it was an unspoken queasiness within the officials of the Nets that were worried about Kyrie's mood swings. Coach came out today and said that he doesn't know, he has no idea where that came from, has not experienced any sort of Kyrie mood swings. A lot of people from the Boston Celtics are obviously laughing, or Celtics fans. They're laughing, they're saying, this is exactly what you got. We knew that you were going to get this. I have a feeling that there's a source close to Kyrie Irving that is just trying to keep him relevant. And this unnamed source is leaking arbitrary information that can be interpreted by whoever is reporting it, however they like, and they choose to interpret it as mood swings. Maybe they say, Kyrie's not sure about the Nets, or he's acting, unsure about being with the Nets, just to keep his name in the media. Because you hear the coach say he doesn't know anything about this. And obviously we haven't heard Kyrie comment on it, but it just seems like these unnamed sources that are releasing this stuff are just trying to, because we're talking about it right now. And Kyrie was all over Twitter today. I don't know if you guys saw it or not.
He's trending up.
Yeah. But it's literally to keep his name in the conversation, to keep us talking about Kyrie Irving. I have come to trust absolutely nothing that is linked to Kyrie Irving's name. Have you guys not?
Oh, no.
Oh, I could care less. The earth was flat, so.
Yeah. If it ain't about his kicks or about him dropping 50 and then getting locked down by a backup shooting guard, I could care less.
It's a PR scheme,
right?
Yeah, well, yeah, they put the Grizzlies. That was insane, bro. Ja Morant went off that game. That was crazy.
The Nets season so far has just been comical. You look at the fact that what are they 1-2 or are they 0-3 right now?
1-2, I believe.
Yeah, because they lost to Minnesota, even though he dropped 50.
Your Wolves.
Yeah, my Wolves, baby. But the thing is, you have a team with a couple with a superstar and a couple of fringe stars, and you go against a team with a bunch of role players and one superstar who drops 50. The team wins, and then our young guard locks Kyrie down basically, and Kyrie throws off a shot off his back foot. And then against the Grizzlies, we're talking about how John Morant goes off, and it turns into this slick pass for Morant that turns into a Jay Crowder bomb. Game's over, and everyone's like blowing up the nets right now. If it wasn't for the Warriors having probably the worst defense historically to start a season in the NBA, we would not be taught. We would probably be roasting the Nets even more. Even the national media would be worse. The thing is with the Nets is they know they're not going to win anything this year because they're waiting for number whatever is Kevin Durant's going to wear to come back, and him and Kyrie are just going to try to take on everything. But they need to fix that team. There is a lot of pieces that need tweaking, or else it's going to be like, oh, what if Kyrie takes a night off, he's injured, or what if KD takes a night off, he's injured. It's like there's not enough pieces yet.
Yeah, I think with KD coming back, obviously he's going to be the main story in Brooklyn. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if we get like 3 or 4 more Kyrie stories.
Oh yeah, they're all like random as hell. Like
this is his 1 year to be in the spotlight in Brooklyn.
3 games in, we're already talking about.
Yeah,
so. Anyways, I'm sure there's enough NBA news, but I know this next topic will kind of take us home before we get into our roundtable. If you've been living under a rock and you didn't watch any sports today, the NCAA ruled today, like Jared was saying, how did they word it, I guess, essentially?
It's like the players, they can profit off the players' likeness, and there was like 2 other words, but in essential, it means like if EA Sports drops NCAA 21, Zach Mack, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Basically, like they can the players will get paid for it. Or if, like, let's say the bookstore sells, like, I don't know, a Tua Tagovailoa jersey, or Trevor Lawrence, Jaron Williams, Felipe Franks, whoever, that player gets some, like, compensation, even if it's small, from that jersey sale or video game appearance or whatever. And I love it because now it's going to open the door back for more marketability for the NCAA for the fans' perspective. So like next year I'll be able to go buy a Jaron Williams jersey. So I'll have a big number Miami number 15 here, or Cameron Harris, or whoever I want, instead of having to buy a number 1 or number 9 or whatever year it is. Yeah, it was the stupidest thing ever. And then on top of that, now you have these guys who aren't allowed to have jobs. At least they're making some money now off of what the NCAA is making off them. And here's an example. So our good friend, Mr. Kevin Langley, is a Alabama grad. Before Kevin went there on scholarship. He didn't even give a crap about Alabama before he went there. He'll fully admit it. But basically, and I was one of these guys too, LSU was good at football and basketball and baseball. So I'm like, fine, I'll go. I'll be a fun school to go to. Journalism, get to go cover good sports, whatever. That was the reason LSU was my dream school in college. I ended up going because I didn't feel like going to Louisiana, but it's me being lazy. Kevin went to Alabama, and he was one of the many who went to Alabama, and it became easier to go, and their enrollment went up because of the fact that their team was disgusting at college football. Local businesses profiting, all these things around in Tuscaloosa, all these college towns. Tuscaloosa,
everybody but the athlete, yeah.
Oh yeah, Tuscaloosa, East Lansing, Eugene, Coral Gables, all these communities where the football or basketball is around Chapel Hill. I wouldn't even know where to point out Chapel Hill, North Carolina on the goddamn map, but I know where it is. I don't know where Eugene is. I know where Tuscaloosa is because basically it's just surrounded by woods. But State College, it's an entire town. It's how the economy of those towns work is off these guys playing ball. So why not give them a piece of the pie? Why not allow them? Also, one other point a buddy of mine made to me today when we were in the gym, it's a little more incentive for these guys to stay another year and develop their game. So it's not all of them, but some of them. And it could improve the college game a little more. Now you could have guys who are like maybe aren't as hungry to chase the money right away. So, okay, we're getting a little money. It won't like sway everybody, but like maybe a couple of the guys who are fringe guys who maybe need another year of cooking in the oven before they come out and play ball.
So I think this is long overdue. I think a lot of people can agree on that. And I saw some, speaking of Kevin, our college football department head, he actually tweeted on the college football account in paraphrase, I don't know word for word. It essentially comes down to now someone came out and said, which is going to be the next conversation. So they're saying now these kids are on scholarship, so they're getting scholarship based off of their athletics. So they're not going to school, not getting paid, not having to pay for school. So now we're paying these kids. So what is a scholarship? So this is going to be the next debate where, okay, these kids have an opportunity to make some money. So should their scholarship be changed, or should they go away from that? This is the very
I think they
tip
should
of the
stay
iceberg.
Away from the scholarship.
Just
don't touch.
That's what I'm saying. The tip of the iceberg. This is, but this is going to be, like I said, the NCAA finally did this. They just said today, this is how we're going to do it. They didn't say it's going to be X amount of dollars based off this percentage or whatever. So this is going to be a long process. But there's going to be so many tangibles that come in different variables that people and it's kind of like what we were just talking about, Zach, with the Browns. The media is going to take everything and you're going to every opportunity, every variable, everything you're going to see it within the next couple weeks and months until they narrow it down to, because they're releasing this, but did they give a date to when is it going to be the 2020 season? They didn't say that. I mean, they're saying but so for those kids, the seniors and juniors in school now, with no date in sight, that would kind of be, I mean, like you're saying, Jared, maybe once they finally do it, those kids are going to stick around. But if you're a junior or senior, you don't know when this is going to happen. You're making that jump regardless.
Oh yeah, I'm saying down the road when this is actually passed. Yeah. Issue is for me. You brought up the whole thing about the scholarship. The only thing the NCAA could do that could be worse than them not approving this at all is then saying, okay, so we're paying you, so we can take away some of your scholarships now, right? That's what I'm saying. You're going to get into uproar to the utmost extent, not even on the athletic level. Like, you would have politicians roast these guys. The NCAA would be crucified for that. And it would be awful because it's the worst PR. It's like, okay, just because they're getting paid now for the fact that you're making money off them, but now you can take away their education that's been promised to them. That's not cool.
Would something like that with the NCAA surprise you?
No, it wouldn't, because they're the slimiest organization on the planet.
My biggest thing with the paying athletes is, so I had a couple of curiosities. One is with like single athlete sports like golf, tennis, swimming. These players, athletes, whatever, can now, like if you're a stud golfer in college and you can sign, like you can make millions, like if not like hundreds of thousands with a Nike endorsement, some sort of endorsement that you can now get in college and be a millionaire. That is a big change for me when it comes to like golf, swimming, stuff like that. Another thing is like connections with like people like us. Like we can't send free merch to athletes as it stands right now. But like when they're able to make money off their likeness, organizations like sports media organizations or anything like that,
their locker room.
Yeah, that's not a sponsor could just easily just for that relationship send free stuff. So that's another big change that I think. But as far as the scholarships goes, I think that's what's always going to separate good teams from bad teams. You can let players make money off of their name, their likeness anywhere. So whether you go to, like I said earlier, Appalachian State or Alabama, you can make the same amount of money off of your jersey sale. Granted, you're probably going to sell more jerseys in Alabama, but either way, you're making the same amount of money on each jersey sale. The scholarships is what's going to separate it. Alabama's going to have more scholarships to give out than Appalachian State to better players. I think that's what's always going to separate good teams from bad teams.
Also, what do you guys think? And maybe based off the contracts, even with this passing, it won't be legal. But like Zach was saying, you got Michigan with Jumpman, you got certain schools with Adidas, you got certain schools with Nike, Under Armour. Like Zach was saying, is there an opportunity for other companies to kind of pry their way in and say, hey, we're going to send you all this stuff, try this out, even though you're signed with blah, 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 which I'm sure there's a gray area. They've got contracts where you physically can't wear that on game day, but those are kind of things that, like I said, it's long overdue, but there's a lot behind it, which I understand why it's been long overdue. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out with it, how it's going to work. I can't anticipate this being anytime soon that they're going to dial it down. They just made the initial ruling today. But in general, very excited about it, and everybody talks about the game. Jared, Reborn, you all right?
No, you're good. I'm starting to get tired, but basically, I still have a great thing. Regardless of how crazy this is going to get, it's going to be so much fun to cover.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just gonna college football in general. Everybody knows it's one of those days where you can have a slate of college football games and it is the epitome of you never leave your couch. So you're sitting there, you're watching the slate of games that all day long that have meaning. I mean, very rarely do you get a sport where there's highly anticipated games or high seeds going against each other this early in the season. So this is on the backside going to add a little more to that. So in general, we'll move on. I know Jared's got to go to bed. His mom's got to tuck him in. So we'll hit the round table. Jared, I know you've got tons to say, so we'll get you started. That way we can cut you off and get out of here before people lose interest.
No, I was just going to give a quick shout out to my Hurricanes. Everyone knows I'm a big Canes fan, and I was really blown away on Saturday. They well, first of all, N'Kosi Perry played with a separated shoulder, which as a quarterback is insane to me. It was his left. It wasn't his right shoulder. But
I think Trubisky got he missed a couple weeks with that, didn't he?
Yeah, which shows that Perry's got
sprained AC, whatever.
Yeah, this shows that Perry's got bigger stones than Trubisky, which doesn't surprise me at all. But when Perry was starting to couldn't go anymore, they put in their benched quarterback, redshirt freshman Jaron Williams, who ends up leading the Canes down the field to knock off Pittsburgh, throwing a touchdown to KJ Osborne, and Cameron Harris, their young running back, filling in for DJ Dallas, played out of his mind. That's why I love college ball, because everyone was crapping on Miami for 2 weeks, and they got this new kicker who ends up kicking a field goal and nailing an extra point or two, and it's like, oh my God, everyone's going crazy because they're actually hitting their kicks. But I don't know. I love seeing it. Like, it was kind of cool, watching them knock off Pitt. I was supposed to go to the game, but I don't know. Give a shout out to the Hurricanes, showing some real toughness, because you really never see guys playing through injuries like that anymore. But it was really cool to kind of see they really wanted that win. So there you go.
What you got, Zach?
I know that Game 6 of the MLB World Series is going on, but I'm going to shout out to hockey. I'm going to shout out Puck Puck Pass. If you're a fan of hockey, check out that pod. Or if you're just a fan of good podcasts, check it out. I want to shout out the Sabres. First overall in the NHL right now. It's a little bit of a surprise to most people, but also want to shout out the Boston Bruins. They're doing well. David Pastrnak, through 12 games, has 12 goals. So he's a goal a game, so that's something to keep your eye on. And the NHL's getting rolling. It's getting hot. So that's where I want to steer people.
Very nice. I know Jared's excited to hear that. It's like NASCAR. So.
I mean, go Pens, baby.
So either way, all right. We're a little over what I said, Jared, because he wouldn't stop talking. He probably has about 30 minutes of this 38 minute episode that we have.
Listen,
so I'm sorry.
You can't handle my personality, Mike. I am just that much. The camera loves me.
Yeah, something like that. The microphone loves you. You got the face for radio. But either way, taking us out of here. I appreciate you guys joining us tonight. We like throwing these together, kind of ad lib. We're missing one tonight. Zach, yes, absolutely. The last 2 days of our breast cancer awareness until the 31st. We got 2 more days to get those. 50% of all proceeds go to the Susan G. Komen Foundation. Design Tree is matching our donation. We've already got the first round in, looking to get the second round in and finish up strong. So appreciate everybody that supported. Excuse me. But again, to Design Tree, to Statement Games, everybody else, to Jared staying up late past his bedtime. I hear your mom talking to you, telling you to get in bed. So we'll end it like that. So I appreciate you guys, behalf of What's Up Belly Up, My Pod, Belly Up Sound Off, Puck Puck Pass, Corner Booth, Savannah, and Kevin. I appreciate everybody's support. What you give the lies? Like I'm throwing out your co-hosts out there.
I'm just giving a shout out to Corner Booth and being the best podcast on Belly Up. So there it is.
We'll talk numbers next week. All right, you guys. Take it easy.
Numbers can't beat content, baby.
Yes.
Go Tigers.